Thorne, Thomas, appeals for handball, nothing given, and Forest get it away. Shaw. And Wright. Oh, good stretching by Walker. Gray was nearly in on that. Salako. And now Humphrey. Good spell by Palace. Salako again. Wright! What a terrific shot by number 10, Ian Wright. And that's a fine goal for Crystal Palace. And no wonder they look so pleased. I wouldn't imagine he'll strike many better than that. The ground, apart from the little colony of Palace supporters, absolutely stunned. The cross is by John Salako. It drifts, just slightly flicks off a Forest head. But look at that volley by Ian Wright, the man who came on as a substitute in the cup final and scored those two sensational goals. Was Bright offside when that cross came in? Arguably. Walker's header on, and what a volley. An hour gone here at the City Ground in this third round replay. Crystal Palace, last year's runners-up. Oh, what's all that about then? Clough, corner, there was some holding going on. It was probably 6 of one and half a dozen of the other. Gray feels he was the offended party. And Roger Milford having just to calm it all down a bit. Corner to Forest to be taken by Crosby. Chettle is up on the near post. Pearce is there too. And Chettle. And Keane. And Pearce, and well saved by Martin. Couldn't see whether it was quite going to go in, but he wasn't to worry about that. He had to make the save in case. Corner taken quickly, Charles. And Palace are going to be under siege here. The only point to be made against that is they might just break out and get an extra man up front. And that's what's happened, actually. And he's onside as well. I think it's McGoldrick here, who could have squared that, actually. There were two waiting.
I don't know about could have. I think in the middle there, Mark Bright, not at all pleased, because he should have done. He had plenty of space. In fact, they didn't really have to even take a touch. If he'd have knocked it in really early, Mark Bright, they had the extra man up, he would have been clear. And 2-0 at this stage, I think, would have been problems. But here you see Stuart Pearce, first of all, a shot on the turn. It's Andy Gray, and then another one really takes a long time to come down, not easy to hit, and although probably would have gone into the side netting, as you say. Nigel Martin taking no chances.
This is Salako, and the flick on finds Wright in a good position here for Palace, and a good stop by Crossley. That may well have kept Nottingham Forest in the cup, that save, certainly for the time being.
Great ball from Salako here, a little back flick there to broke for it. Just a heavy touch there by Ian Wright, took him probably just too close to Crossley, who came out and spread himself very well.
Wright again. Oh, that's a fine save by the goalkeeper, going to his left. So twice within a minute, Mark Crossley denies Ian Wright the goal that would almost certainly have taken Palace at this stage, I would think, into the fourth round. This is a typical near-post corner where the defenders can sometimes help the attackers, but he knew where he was going there, the keeper. Walker. It's Clough. Oh, good ball in. And Palace were a bit lucky. They didn't know where it was. And Andy Gray was the first to react. Corner to Forest. Oh, flicked by Walker, away by Young. Crosby is taking these corners from the right-hand side. And Walker and Chettle up, and the overhead was by Clough. I don't know how it stayed out. And he doesn't know either. I think it hit the bar. Here's Charles. They look as if they're going to score any minute, Forest. And here's Hodge. And Nigel Martin performing heroics in there. but Nigel Clough, I think we'll see, is the player who attempts the acrobatics here and very nearly equalises. Oh, it's a good save, really. He turned it onto the bar, didn't he, Trevor?
I think he probably did get the faintest of touches. Superb bit of overhead work though by Nigel Clough, and it was him who put in that early cross just before to win the corner. Forest be desperately disappointed that one of those didn't go in, really.
Yes, Palace were living dangerously there with only 20 minutes to go of the 90, and Forest still a goal behind, but pumping forward now, particularly down this right-hand side with Crosby. Charles in support, number 2. And Clough just hangs back a bit and lays it out to Pearce. This is the loudest we've heard the crowd all night, and Forest need that backing for sure. Flags up. I suspect there was a handball. Des Walker. Now it's Charles. Crosby. Charles again. Wilson. It's driven Crosby a little wide, that, but they've still got players in there waiting. Charles again. Oh, he's free and put the header wide. It's Keane, who's had a good all-round match for Forest, but he did have space there to get that header on goal.
Well, really well worked cross there, Gary Charles, and it's suddenly cleared everyone, and he just tries to head it down and it just skids off his forward, really. Any power right in front of goal, and it had to go in, and 3 such close misses. You just wonder whether they'll get such good opportunities again.
Well, they might. This is Wilson, but the 19-year-old there, Irishman Roy Keane, had a chance that he'll feel he should have put away. Here's Salako for Palace. Well, we've all got... It's a different game altogether now. After a sterile first half, it's really opened up. This is Crosby. And Shaw gets a foot in. Chettle and Walker on their way forward again. In fact, everybody's going up for Forest here. It's that desperate. It's come out to Stuart Pearce. Intelligent ball back to Crosby. They're still lined up in there. Wilson stretching. And here's Charles. And it's Wilson. Deflection on the shot. It's in. It caught a Palace player and it spooned up. Richard Shaw, I think. But Wilson will get the credit. Nottingham Forest are level with 73 minutes gone. And first off here, it's Charles, and then it's Wilson. And I think that's Richard Shaw who gets the deflection, which loops it over the goalkeeper. And I'm sure without that, it probably wouldn't have gone in. But watch the Palace number 3 here. I'm fairly certain it's his right foot that causes that to loop up over Nigel Martyn. 1-1. The last time I saw a goal like that, Trevor, it was the shot that deflected off Paul Parker in the World Cup. Do you remember? Andy Bramer.
I didn't like to be reminded of it, really, but I mean, it was the exact similar situation. Peter Shilton on that occasion, Nigel Martyn this time on the edge of the 6-yard box, but once you get a looping deflection like that, there's no return.
Well, now the game is really hotting up in more ways than one. That was a bad challenge, and Eric Young could be in trouble here. Steve Hodge was the player who went down, and Andy Gray, I think, was the player who initially fouled him. Young went into the thick of it afterwards. And I think an elbow was used. And if Andy Gray did use the elbow, then Roger Milford has to decide how violent it was. Gray's been off once this season already against Chelsea. Went off with Dennis Wise early in the season. And it's a calm down situation as far as Steve Hodge is concerned. And the referee decides in the circumstances he'll give them a lecture, and that's about it. Well played by Terry Wilson. Oh, and Gray now is squaring up again. That's the second time with Hodge. And if it goes on like this, Andy Gray is going to be in real trouble.